Mentally or physically, success can be defined as getting up one more time after you've been knocked down over and over and over again. I'm T. Wood, and this is Triumphant Moments, where I highlight significant moments beyond the surface to inform, encourage, and inspire people to triumph over their life's challenges. Let me pause when I say that. With me today, I have my big brother, Dr. Ted Sutton. Dr. Ted Sutton is a native of Baltimore, Maryland. During his life in the streets, he was known as Crazy Ted and was affiliated with the characters in the HBO television drama The Wire, a series about the perils of street life in Baltimore, Maryland. He possesses a master's degree in criminology, specializing in juvenile delinquency prevention, a doctorate degree in humanities, and is also working on another doctorate degree. He is a sought-after motivational speaker, a trained certified gang intervention specialist, and community leader and advocate. Dr. Sutton is the CEO and founder of Sutton House Incorporated and the Ministries of Defense, which focuses on youth and community development. He is married with 4 beautiful children. My brother, welcome. I tell you what, I'm gonna just go ahead and jump right on into it. For starters, what is your morning routine? I can't say typical because I'm sure it moves around. It's different, but from Monday to Friday, what is your morning, specifically your morning routine? What does it look like?
Man, and that's so crazy because I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest with you, because one thing is that, when I thank God for allowing me to open my eyes first, because I think that sometimes we take things for granted, like small things. We thought it was an alarm clock. We thought that somebody called me, and we thought that our phone was set to do this. And it's just like, no, with everything that I've been through, I don't take anything like that lightly in any kind of way. And so it's funny when you say, what is a routine? Because as much as I try to have a routine, I may get a call that was definitely unexpected. But to be honest with you, what I realize is in the right place at the right time with the right words or actions, you could change the trajectory of what was going to happen. So I thank God for being an option for somebody to call who was getting ready to do something that they really wanted somebody to talk them out of. And so, I think that's a beginning. So I could say, yes, I have the plan to work out. Right. I have the plan to pray before I get started. I take my daughter to school. I always tell her every day, and she probably thinks it's corny. I say, the bad news is you don't fit in. The good news is you wasn't supposed to. And I tell her this every day, but even with that, and if my son needs me, I'll pick him up and and everything. And so what I see is that that may be the plan.
Right.
But then there are times when I have to deviate off of the railroad. You know what I'm saying? I have to go off of the beaten path. You know what I'm saying? Because someone thought me to be the perfect person to talk to me when they were getting ready to have a meltdown or when they was getting ready to do something crazy. And I thank God for that. So I don't see it as a burden. I see it as the privilege.
Come on. See, that pulls me to, I'm a believer that nothing just come. I mean, things don't just come from nothing. Everything has its purpose, and everything was created from something. So let's take a little snapshot of your upbringing. Are you only child? Any brothers and sisters in your household? Like, what did that look like? Like growing up in your household specifically for you?
Well, it's really wild. I mean, growing up for me, was very unique. First, it was me and my brothers. So we did the wrestling, the fighting, and different things of that nature. But I thank God that, that my father was a pastor, of two churches. He pastored Maryland Church of God in Christ, Columbia Church of God in Christ. My mother was a principal. She did 35 years in the school system,
Yes.
and she actually chose some of the more rougher schools. So where she, wanted to teach in Cherry Hill. She wanted to teach at Martin Luther King. She wanted to teach at what she called lovely Lexington Terrace, that everybody else knew as Lexington Terrace Projects. And so, and that was just how that was. But if you look at the real history, my grandfather was one of the deacons for defense that fought against the Klan in Louisiana that was shooting into churches. My father was one of the organizers for civil rights for Dr. King at Southern and Grambling University. My mother worked for Medgar Evers. The same summer he was assassinated, I had an uncle that was a Black Panther. My cousin actually helped start the new Black Panther Party and different things. So you're talking about, I had a rich history, but I ended up kind of getting caught up, and deviating from that. But in the household, my parents was, we going to sit down and we're going to say prayer before dinner. And now, what I did not appreciate then, I found myself being the foundation of what I'm able to appreciate now.
Look, I got to point to this. When I look and hear the things, the tradition, the things that were not just implemented you in your environment, but that's honestly in your blood.
Yeah.
From the steps that your parents took and what they did in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let me ask this. See, I'm from the South.
Mm-hmm.
All right, from the South, Florida.
Okay.
So my mother had my love, 4 foot 11, all right, but she had a very her strength stood tall, and she had a very creative way of straightening me up whenever I got out of line. If you catch my drift, she found creative ways that really worked to get me back right. So I'm curious, and just for any of the listeners and viewers, did your parents have to find creative ways to kind of straighten you out, or was it, you pretty much?
Man, it's funny. I say it as a joke, but I feel I got whooped so much. I thought I was a runaway slave at one point, But I will say this, and so yes, I knew about getting that switch off of that tree and coming in there, and it better not be a little one. You know what I'm saying? It's gotta be a real one. You know what I'm saying? Or they might braid one, and then you might have to get one that's homemade. That was a homemade one. You know what I'm saying? But my father, if it got to his attention, he had the leather belt that was thick with the buckle. You know what I'm saying? And so that was a whole nother, situation. And so, for me, but where it would appear as almost, we call them the Child Protective Service or something now. To be honest with you, man, it was something that ended up really being a blessing, because see, there's difference between discipline and abuse, because when you do certain things out of love, you know what I'm saying, you're doing it for a particular reason, and so you're willing to sacrifice for your children. So how can now you got parents that's willing to sacrifice? I'm gonna buy you some LeBrons, or I'm gonna buy you $1,000 Xbox game, or you know what I'm saying, or a PS5, or whatever the situation is, but I won't sacrifice the time invested into you so that you will be a better character growing up. And so we have to really check some of our priorities. I know for me, I'm glad that I went through what I went through, because I don't even know who I would be
Right.
if I did not.
Right.
I think I briefly mentioned, having female company, to the house, and I had to have them right there at that big couch watching that big wooden TV. You know what I'm saying? The kind that had the stereo to it too. It was like you could play records on it and everything. And you had to sit right there on that couch, and you had to be. It was no going to no family basements just by yourself. It was no going upstairs to no rooms. It was going to be you going to be right here under surveillance, and I needed surveillance. See, people didn't understand. I wasn't going to play Monopoly. So if I had found some room and space and opportunity, my entire life could be different. So for me, being the type of middle child that I was, I needed protection from myself, and I thank God that I received that.
There was something that you said that really touched me that I wanted to connect on. The youth of today, like you've been making a difference in lives, all right, for some years. And I gotta give you your flowers on this. You made a difference in so many lives for some years. It seems that this youth has a different mindset. So how do you feel, first of all, do you feel you're able to still connect with them? And do you feel like it's more of a challenge than it was in, years ago?
I feel I can make a connection, and it is a big difference from years ago. I definitely have to answer it, that way, because like Meek Mill said, it's levels to this thing. So I have to say, hold up, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Y'all thought I was finished. You know what I'm saying? So, but to really keep it real, it's levels to this thing. So I work with a certain group now. I work with them all. But I may work with a young man that's a little younger than me, and then I have the strong connection with him. And then I actually try to have him assist me work with somebody that's even younger than him. And so because I'm not going to be out at 2 o'clock in the morning no more. I'm not going to, and to be honest with you, what I'm saying? If you ask me some of my favorite rappers, I'm going to be like, okay, you got to go with Rakim. You know what I'm saying? You got to put Tupac. You got to have Biggie. And so I'm already on a, so some of them don't understand the history with that. For me, I got to give the flowers to these dudes who paved the way. But you might talk to somebody that's older than me and be like, well, you forgot about Curtis Blow. You forgot about you Sugar Hill Gang. You know what I'm saying? What about Count Cool Out? And, and so somebody had to reach me. That's right. And so, so I had OGs and I respected them. And so, and now it was time for me. And then now I have the little homies that respect me, and then it's levels to this thing. And that the real problem is it was a major gap between OGs, you know what I'm saying, and youth. So when you deal with that big gap, you're talking about now his big homie is 20. His OG is 21. So I'm like, you would have had to be a BG, that means a baby gangster, when you literally was like 3. You know what I'm saying? For you to be a big homie, a double OG, and you're 21. That they don't understand the math, kind of like with it. There's actually rules, to the street, to the urban, to the gang activity, to the little homies. It's actually rules to it. So in my book, Temporarily Insane, I talk about some of these young cats, nobody has even taught them how to do wrong the right way. So they're even doing wrong, which is a double negative. Like, how do you steal a car in your own neighborhood, then you keep the car? You know what I'm saying? You just driving past the neighbor that you stole it from. You blowing the horn at them. They're not waving at you because they think that you're a good person. They're waving you down because they want you to bring the car back home. You know what I'm saying? Or that person that is going to a beef with 5 guys in the car, all have guns, radio blasting, weed smoke going out the window, bad tags, and a tail light out. And so to me, you have learned the wrong things, doing it the wrong way. So my thing is I have to teach you first to live so you can change. You can't change if you don't live. I gotta first let you know you are definitely doing some things wrong, and we gotta work on that first part. And then now I want you to consider changing. 7 minutes was something that I actually arrived with helping a young man that was actually getting ready to take somebody's life. And he called me. And this is the crazy part about it. He actually called me and asked if I could pray with him before he goes to take some people's lives. I mean, literally, he said, you know, and I had a witness with me. I had a guy that was visiting from England, first time over here, and one of the professors from Johns Hopkins asked him to kind of, well, you need to shadow, you know, Brother Ted. You need to, you know, he's working with the type of youth you wanna learn about and you work with in England. Man, and he went there. I said, before we get started, we gotta make a stop there, man. And I actually, man, I talked to this young man, and he came to the door first with a 357, chrome 357. And I was just like, oh, man. And I said, here, man, let me hold that for a second. So I took my shirt and I grabbed it, you know what I'm saying, and wiped it off, you know what I'm saying, put it under the pillow. And it was crazy because, you know what I'm saying, I don't touch no, you know, no guns like that and stuff. So but he was just like, he's going down to, and he gave me a specific street and everything on North Avenue in a corner. And he said that he's going to go up there and he's going to burn them up. But he said, I don't want you to talk me out of it. This is what he's saying. I'm like, because I'm really saying to myself, then why you call me? You should have called little Black Pookie, little Day Day, you know what I'm saying? Somebody who going to gaslight you. Yeah, yo, I'll go down there in a minute, yo. You know what I'm saying? But now you call Dr. Ted Sutton, so you really want something different. You were looking for something different. And man, and I came and he was just like, yeah, yo, you know, I'm gonna go down there. He was disrespectful. He was like, yo, I'm gonna burn everybody up. And I said, so you're waiting? He said, no, I'm waiting for everybody to get out there so I can do it in front of everybody, you know. So I say, so you're saying that you want to attempt this, but you need more people to be witnesses. I said, I said, what's a good number for you? Maybe 10, maybe 20. I said, so you know 20 people that would not use your name as a get out of jail free card? They wouldn't say a word about you. Just even if they get into trouble, they found a kilo on them, and they know about somebody that took somebody's life, but they would never tell on you. I was like, wow, you must be somebody special, because I can't think of the people in Baltimore that would just not mention my name to have a get out of jail free card. And so I'm talking to him and things. He was just like, yeah, man, well, I'm just saying, yo, you know, I'm going to go down there and burn. And I was just like, he was like, but yo, he was like, check this out. He was like, nah, he was like, yo, because that N-word, he was just calling him that. He was like, you know, he don't mean nothing to me. I was like, don't you ever say that to me again. And then he like saw that now I'm getting out of pocket. I said, don't you ever say that to me again. I said, you talk about him mean nothing to you. I said, when you're talking about somebody who is getting ready to change your entire life, I want you to address him as he's my all in all. I said, every time you address this young man, I want you to say he's my everything. That's how I want you to address him, because you're willing to give up everything. And I said, but check this out. Since you don't want me to talk you out of it, I said, why don't you do this? I said, your daughter, she's like 8 now. I said, when she's ready to get married, I'll walk her down the aisle for you.
Wow.
I said, I'll try to be at her graduation if I'm not out of town or something like that. I said, and to be honest with you, hopefully, you know that her mother doesn't make a lot of good decisions. And I said, she slept with you, Raw. And I said, so, I said, hopefully, she just wants to, hopefully she finds a boyfriend that really doesn't like little girls with barrettes in their head, because you won't be able to protect her. And I was saying, and I said, so why don't you do this? And I said, we can be talking a year from now, and we could be laughing about the day you was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and you did something different. I said, or you might be in a cell with tears in your eyes wishing you could do one night over. And I said, so let's do this. You know what I'm saying, man? And I said, so which one, man? I said, yo, you proven me that you can die out here. Y'all have proven to me that y'all can take life out here. I said, what you haven't proven is that you can live. And man, and he was like, man, he went over, because he went over to the gun, man. He just put the gun down and things, and he was like, man, you know, I want to live. And when we left, the guy that was with me, he was so amazed. And I said, "Why are you like in shock?" Because I'm thinking we ain't get started yet. He was like, "That was the first time I ever seen a gun up close." And I was just like, "Wow." And I said, "Well, hold on, because it's just 10 o'clock." And so, but what I realized is that in the right place at the right time, you could change the trajectory of what was going to happen. If you have the right words, to say, or the right actions. And I think that that's what meant everything, for me.
Come on.
And then that's when I put together seven minutes.